Hi guys, welcome to part two on babies in the spectrum and outside the spectrum. Okay, I know this is not about hair, but hold on. Do you see the shine? And yes, don't worry about this frog thingy. But do you see the shine? No, I'm the only one that sees it. No, yeah, okay. Anyway, it was not about hair anyway to start with. But anyway, babies, we're back. Where did we left off? We left off on reinforcing. Whenever you hear a word, because we want words, we have to reinforce it. Now, when you have a baby, like for example, some kids, they get oh my goodness, they get aggravated. A lot of actually babies get aggravated real quick. Actually, it's not even babies, it's us human being. Yes, we gotta understand that it's us human being. For example, if you want something, you're trying to say it, you don't have the word for it, or you do not know how to communicate yet for it, you're gonna get frustrated because you are trying to say it and it's not coming out, and nobody can understand you, but you know what you want, right? So you will find babies, as you like prompting them to say something, if you're doing it, that's the thing, you cannot do it for too long. If you sit there for hours waiting with the bottle in your hand, right, and you're like, hey, I know you want this, I want you to give me some type of like, reactions or something that shows me that you want this, and you're not even acknowledging them pointing, any form of communication matters. Now once you get to the one that we mostly want to see, and like we want to see more of, we reinforce that more than the other ones, so that they're like, whoa, if I do this, I get more of this. Therefore, I know the reward's gonna be greater than the other ones. Therefore, I'm gonna focus on trying to do this one more. That's pretty much what we want to do. We want them to see, we want them to realize. That's why we do it this way. That's why we have to know, first of all, figure out what the kids like, figure out what they enjoy, and if you give it to them, would it feel like a waste? Would they actually enjoy it? Or is it just like something just given to them just to be like, oh, congratulations? They're like, what is that? Like, you give me a toothbrush, what am I gonna do with a toothbrush? I'm a baby, like, hello. Some babies as well, cookies. Also, in the whole reinforcement, right, there's the bad part. You cannot, I know, I'm not trying to confuse you guys, but you cannot, I repeat, cannot reinforce every single thing. Because if you keep reinforcing everything that your child does, now they're gonna grow up as thinking like, okay, so I am going to get a reward for everything I do in life. That's not what we want. We want to give, like, reinforce enough for that they know, okay, you know what? I know I have to do this, and the more I do it, I'm gonna get something, but also I am not gonna get something every time. So here's how that looks like. For a child, if you always giving them cookie, right? Like whenever they do something, don't do be giving sugars, but let's say you have a type of cookie and you give your child whenever they call your name and they ask for what they want, they use more words verbally instead of signing it and stuff like that, right? So then now they're like, okay, you know what? Let me continue to do this. And then one day, they said it and you're not giving them anything in return. They're like, well, hold on now. I used to get something in return and now I'm not. What's going on? You're gonna see, like, they're just expecting it. You should not be expecting it. It's more like we want to train them in a way that you can be given something, and at the same time sometimes you may not be given something. So it should be acceptable either way. So that's why you have to watch out. Sometimes, yes, some reinforcement are big and some other one are just little. Now they know, they're like, you know what, not everything I'm gonna get is gonna be like hoo, like great. And some days you get something and some days like, that was good, I'm gonna applaud you, but I'm not gonna give you something today. I know that makes sense. Because we really remember everything you're teaching them is more like, hey, I'm teaching you this now. You gotta remember later in life when you're looking for a job, when you're going to school, and yes, you're not taking about school, a job right now. They're 2 years old or 3 years old, but you yourself, you gotta remember that it's all about what you teach them in the beginning stage. What are you teaching the babies? What are you teaching them? What are you apply? What are you making sure that they stick with growing up, and that is helping them too. So that's why you gotta remember, okay, how do I want them to grow? Do I want them to be always screaming? Do I want them to be always throwing things when they want something? Okay, now the behavior part, the behavior that we want to work on, right? A child who's throwing things, who like to throw things around, not because they find it fun, but because when they get mad, they don't have the words to communicate. They throw things and they keep throwing things because they get a response out of you. A response, it's not even about a fun response. Some of them it's more it's some of them are not even fun. It's more like any little response I get out of you, it's good. It can be something that you enjoy, something that you not enjoy, but as long as I'm getting a response out of mom or dad, is great. So therefore, I am going to continue to do everything that I'm doing right now to get a response. So when things like that happen, right? You see the pattern. Okay, what makes Tony? I'm gonna stick to Tony because I don't know. This is an easy word, no name. What makes Tony throw things around? Okay, I see that when I say Tony, come, let's go shower. Tony does not like that. Tony runs around, and when I'm trying to catch Tony, I run after Tony, and he start running and giggling, and then he gets to a point he start throwing things. Okay, now this is what Tony does before he start throwing things around whenever we have to go shower. Now, we are not going to run around. We are not going to make it look like a game because eventually he gets tired of like the whole running and it leads to him just throwing things around. We don't want Tony to know that, hey, every time we are going to shower, this is the process every time for us to be like fighting like this or you throwing things around like that. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is we are going to, oh my goodness, what's that, mama? We are going to move everything that Tony's able to throw. Everything that he usually reaches for, not anything. It's not even like things that he will touch or seems interesting to him. It's more like anything he can pick up and throws. So we're gonna move all these things around, make sure they're not reachable for him, and then did I do this already? Yes, I did. And once they're not reachable for him, we are going to make sure that there's no, if like, let's say for example, your child do bang his head or in a wall, or like sometimes they hurt themselves because they know like they're gonna get, once again, every behavior leads to something. It's a cause and effect. I do this, I get this in return. I do this, moms respond this way in return. Therefore, I'm gonna continue to do this. It's that simple. So we do not want to give them, you like literally you're the cause and they're doing the effect. We don't want that. So we wanted to make sure we have the right one, the one that we want to keep seeing, the one that we want to what's the word, that we want them to grow with, right? So not only will we move everything for those of them who like to bang their head in the wall or stuff like that, you can make sure that there's things around. Some kids drop themselves on the floor, they bang their head on the floor. You have some pillows around the room to make sure that like, hey, if they were to hit themselves, they're not getting hit. They have something to break the fall, or like you prompt them to not even like get hit. So in that process, it's pretty easy, but sometimes some kids just run around the house and then bang their head in the wall. You can't really prompt that. But if you have taught them in the process that, you know what, for example, the biters. Biters. I have getting bitten so many times, but it's okay. That was the way of communicating. Now we have mouthing toys. Some of them I knew that. Some of us like give the kids the mouthing toys because of like teething. When they're teething, you give this to them. But also there are some mouthing toys that's good for like the babies that just bite, a way to communicate. When they want you to leave them alone, when they don't want you to hold them, they bite you to let them go. The biting, whenever they're like about to bite you, you see their mouth like If they already have their mouth on you, you can literally prompt them to move their mouth, remove your hand, whatever they're biting, pull that away, and then give them the mouthing toy. Say, hey, we don't bite people. And it's like, use it in a way, it's like, oh my goodness, do you want to chew something? Is your teeth thing? Like, use it a different way, be like, okay, maybe that's the reason. So therefore, I'm going to give you this instead. You can chew on this, but you cannot chew on people. You cannot bite people. Kind of like that. So, and you just give them that in return, pretty much, for the biting, pump that, and for the hitting, we move everything around the room that they cannot throw, they cannot really hurt themselves. And for those who are about to hit themselves, you just stay near, make sure they are safe. And yeah, now we have screamers. Baby screams. It's more like, okay, you know what? Mommy does not like when I scream, Mommy cannot handle when I scream. Daddy cannot handle when I scream. So when I scream, I always get what I want. Yo, these kids are smart. When I say smart, smart. Now, daddy always give me what I want when I scream. So therefore, I am going to scream. Now, bear with me. We have some screamers, we have some criers, right? Your child is crying. Your child is screaming. Remember, once again, it is hard. Your child is safe. Now, it all depends how you respond to that, the whole screaming, the whole behavior. How you respond to it, you end up reinforcing that behavior without knowing. We don't want that. We don't want you to reinforce that. We want you to, okay, what are you doing here? We want you to respond in a way that it is not fun for them to find out, you know what, this is not fun. This is not what mommy like. This is not what I should be doing right now. Therefore, I will stop. We want that. So if you are responding to the child, right, that is crying, first of all, you have the screamers and the criers, babies. They're gonna like stay there. When they don't get what they want, they are going to roll on the floor. You have seen this already. Regular babies, inside of the spectrum, outside of the spectrum, they all do that. They roll on the ground. They're like, you know what? I don't get what I want. I'm gonna roll on the ground. I'm gonna scream. Once again, remember, they are okay. They're not hurt. As though you make sure you move everything. Well, I thought I wasn't braiding my hair. I was like, no. Yeah. You make sure that the room is safe, everywhere is safe. Therefore, you move things around. They cannot hurt themselves. When you see them rolling, when you see them screaming, they're okay. Here's what you do. It is hard, but here's what you do. You move back a bit. If you were close to them, you move back a bit. And then you pretty much let them be. You're like, okay, you know what? You are screaming. What you're giving them in that return is like, since they're screaming, you're not coming and be like, oh no, I'm so sorry, honey. I know you don't like this. I know. Well, mommy took that away. Mommy didn't give it to you. Daddy didn't give it to you. Oh no. What are we gonna do, buddy? Oh no. What can we do? Should we go play? You're giving an alternative. And for some kids, if you have seen as a parent, once again, you can literally verify. For some of them, the more response you give them, the worse it gets. Yes, I know. So therefore, that is why it is better to back off a bit. Make sure you can still see them, see them that they're like, okay. Oh, you know what? Here's a little perfect example that will make sense. When a baby falls, right? You're at your house, your child falls or your child drops something, anything that happened, right? And then, with that being said, after the thing happens, you hear, bow. The chair falls, scare them, or they fell, anything like that, right? You see it happening. What happened when you like, oh my goodness, are you okay? The baby start crying. The baby's like, whoa, okay, hold on now. First of all, you saw that, right? You saw that I fell. You literally saw that, right? So since we both saw that, I'm gonna cry, I guess. I'm gonna cry so that you can come get me, and then, yeah. Now, for another baby, you will see you will literally see, you cannot tell me you do not see that as a parent, literally. Now, for another baby that just fell, and then you will see them. You see it happening, you hear it happening. You peek, you're like, okay, I see you're safe, I see you're okay. And if you look, you will see them looking around, searching, be like, did anybody see me? Like, I know you saw that, I know you heard that, but did you really see that I fell? Are you sure you didn't see me? They're like looking to make sure. And then once they get the eye contact, some kids, literally the minute they get you, they cut you looking or like, making sure they're okay, they start crying then, right? So that's why once you do the little pick, you're like, okay, I see you're okay. You're back out. You won't heal quick. But obviously, if they really get hurt, like, it was really bad, then they'll start crying. Then obviously go to your baby, help the baby. But once again, once you have this stage where like you don't give the child what they want, rolling the ground, screaming, yelling, try to bite you and all that. Now you move away. You're like, I know you're okay. I'm gonna give you a space right now. And also, baby have emotions. Yes, everybody have emotions. We grown adults, we have emotions. We try to deal with day after day. It is hard. So therefore, they got emotions. You know what? Some days, some emotions are bigger than the others, and then we just gotta know, like, you know what? I'm gonna let you deal with that little emotion right now, honey. But I can't give you too much attention right now because at the end of the day, I'm just gonna reinforce that. So we don't want that. So you back up a bit. Make sure they're safe. And little did you know, they're gonna look around. Yeah, I've seen this. They look around and like, okay, you know what? I'm doing this. Not only I'm not getting what I want, but I'm not getting any attention. Like, hello? Yes, some babies are attention seekers. They do that because they want a response in return. They do that because they want you to engage with them. If they get something, they're gonna keep doing it to get that thing. So the minute they're not getting it, they're like, you know what, this is not fun no more. Like I'm not getting anything out of this. So they don't do that. We are gonna pause here. We are gonna come back for part 3 because once again, we don't want to make the video too long. So yes, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys into part 3 on babies in and outside of the spectrum. Bye. Have a blessed day.